I'ma keep it a bean. Stick to the script, every scene. This from last year, but they clean. Say to say, I'ma take something else, but it's winning team. Charlie Sheen, fam gang, the regime. I'm from Piney Green.
What's good, Shellitronnn here. You can call me Shells, and I'm back at it again with a brand new video. And I'm gonna keep it a Bowberry biscuit. I am very, very confused with the Carolina Panthers fan base right now. This is the most confused I've been. This is even more confusing than a lot of other things going on with this team, with this franchise, because it's a very big question that I think the majority, maybe even half the fan base has been asking, and I don't exactly know why. And I've seen it asked a lot of times. I think even at one point last Sunday, kind of reactionary, I asked this same question, but when I thought about it a little bit more, I actually realized that it's not really the best situation for the Panthers right now. And that question is, should Will Grier potentially start to get some snaps for the remainder of this season? And that right there is a very heavy question that needs some serious thought put into it before giving an answer. Now I know, look, the team is losing. Kyle Allen does not look good. We all get it, and I understand what it is. You see what's going on in the field, you think to yourself, wait, of course. I mean, why not? Why shouldn't we put Will Grier in? Kyle's not looking good. The team's not going anywhere. We may as well see something from Will Grier, and I understand that. But when you think about the situation that we're in right now, who Will Grier is, what Will Grier is, and what this Panthers team right now, as presently constructed is, it makes literally zero sense to put Will Grier on an NFL football field. And I'll give you all the reasons why. My answers are going to be in the form of questions, though. My question to you is, what exactly do you expect from Will Grier? What is he looking for? What do you want to see from Will Grier? And do you actually believe Will Grier is going to impress you? Because we saw what Will Grier did in the preseason, right? And if we didn't see what he did in the preseason, let me give you his numbers. In the 2019 preseason, Will Grier played all 4 preseason games. He went 34 for 61. That is just under 56%. He threw 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 385 yards. That is less than 100 yards in each game that he played. And keep in mind, he did play a lot of snaps. It wasn't like he was only getting a quarter per game. He was in the game for a pretty substantial amount of time in those 4 preseason games, right? So he wasn't really doing all that much in the preseason. But let's go back even farther to what Will Grier was doing in college. Now, Will Grier, in his last year in college in 2018, he was 4th in the Heisman voting race. The dude had impressive numbers. Will Grier, his numbers, and if you watch his highlights, it was dope. He completed 67% of his passes. He threw for over 3,800 yards, and he threw 37 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions. Those numbers are very, very strong. And if you're only looking at stats, if you only look at the highlights, you might not really get a feel for what Will Grier was as a quarterback in college. Will Grier was really more of a passer than a quarterback, and I know that sounds kind of confusing, but let me explain that for you. The offense at West Virginia was catered, it was tailor-made for Will Grier. Every single wide receiver was schemed open. Their OC at West Virginia was one of the best every single time. You can watch his highlights, watch the games. When he threw those deep passes, when he threw a lot of those touchdowns, his receiver had a good 5-yard radius of open green space all around him. And if you watch the games, look at what Will Grier was looking at. He was really working on only half the field. They cut the field in half and made him look at a couple of reads. He was not going through progressions most of the time. He wasn't going through, okay, that's my hot read. Okay, my second read isn't there. Is my third read on this side of the field? Is he good? No. Okay, let me come down here real quick. Look at this check down. He wasn't making very deep progressions very consistently. It was a very, I don't want to say easy, but it was a very widely accepted fact that the offensive scheme at West Virginia was kind of, there were training wheels there. He's not a bad quarterback, but the scheme at West Virginia, he didn't have to make very many reads. And speaking of reads, his pre-snap reads were the only ones he made. He was not really making too many reads after the snap. He read what the defense showed him pre-snap and didn't really make all that many adjustments after that. Will Grier was always going to be a very impressive, very good-looking project quarterback that was always going to be at least 1 year away from being a starter. After this first year, maybe, but he's going to need a little bit more time, I think, to become a good or decent enough NFL caliber quarterback who can not only make the throws, not only read defenses, not only make decisions, but look through his progressions and read what's going on after the ball is snapped. And we've seen he does not like pressure at all. He's not really a guy who can escape pressure. He's not really a guy who can read that pressure coming in. If it's coming in, he might throw one away. He does get a little rattled quicker than you really want from your quarterback. Now look, he is a rookie. We understand that. But I don't believe that Will Grier is ready right now. And literally every analyst, everyone who watched this game, all the draft people who are, like, it's hard to be a draft expert. These guys don't really know about when guys are going to get drafted. But their breakdown of these guys' games is usually very accurate. Will Grier was always going to be a project quarterback who was at least a full season away from being ready to touch a football field. And going back to my point earlier, I think we saw very strong evidence of that in the preseason. But let me go back to my very first point, which were questions, not really answers. What do Panthers fans realistically expect out of Will Grier? Do you believe that he's significantly improved since what you last saw of him in the preseason? And why is that? Why do you think that he's actually improved greatly enough to start or play, I guess a lot of snaps in an NFL game? And my second question is, why do you want to see Will Grier? The season's over, right? And we understand what this offensive line is looking like, right? You do understand what Kyle Allen's getting sacked, right? Kyle Allen's getting sacked. I mean, look at this. Okay, there are always at all times 5 offensive linemen on the field, right? Blocking for your quarterback. Now, usually you want all 5 of these guys to be on. You want to be able to trust all 5 of these guys to protect your quarterback. But if there's one weak link, you can probably work around that. If there's 2 weak links, you may be able to scheme some things, maybe pull a guard or do something. But let me just ask you this question real quick. Of the 5 guys on the offensive line for the Carolina Panthers, name 3. Name 3 guys that you consistently can depend on to protect the quarterback. Name 3 offensive linemen who are starting or who get snaps, significant snaps for the Panthers right now that you trust to protect Will Grier and make sure that our 3rd round pick, but I guess you can call it a 4th round, it was a late 3rd comp pick, quarterback that we have on our roster until 2023. What happens if Will Grier gets injured behind what I guess you believe is a decent offensive line? We have this man on our roster for the next 3 seasons. It's about protecting an asset, protecting an investment. You do not use a 3rd round pick to say, you know what, I'm curious, how would he look right now in his first year? We see what Kyle Allen's doing. We already knew Kyle Allen was a backup. I'm not exactly sure what the fan base thought was going to happen, or if we believe that we were going to go 12-4, 11-5 once Cam got out. Kyle did have very impressive games, or he had kind of impressive games, but we understood that the games we won with Kyle Allen at quarterback were mostly due to Christian McCaffrey and the defense being on consistently, getting stops consistently. I'm not so sure anyone really believed that Kyle Allen was the main reason this team was winning those games. So if we can go ahead and acknowledge that Kyle Allen was not the reason this team was winning games, and in some cases he was the reason the team lost a couple of those games that we've lost so far, what do you expect from Will Grier? Do you, 1, think he's better than Kyle Allen? Or 2, are you just curious, just want to see what he can do? And let me ask a 3rd question here. Is your curiosity about a player who's on our roster, guaranteed until 2023, worth risking, 1, this man going out there, not looking good, and losing confidence, and the fan base saying, oh man, we shouldn't have drafted this guy. We shouldn't have kept Kyle Allen in there. Why do we even get this dude? He looks bad right now. Or he goes out there, looks really good for 2-3 games, and then gets hurt behind this offensive line. I'm not exactly sure if it's worth the risk. Now, look, we all are curious. We want to see what we drafted a quarterback. Look, we drafted a quarterback with the number 100 pick in the NFL draft. That's not exactly the highest pick, but it's not exactly one of those low, like, no-name kind of quarterback picks. This is a guy who you want to see play eventually. I agree with you on that. I think he should play eventually. But I don't believe this is the time, or the team, or the offensive line, as presently constructed, to just say, you know what, I'm curious about this 3rd round quarterback we got. Just throw him out there. Throw him out there versus the Saints. Throw him out there versus the Falcons again. We saw what the Falcons were doing. Throw him out there against the Colts, whose defense has been pretty good. Or the Saints again. I mean, the Redskins defense ain't really nothing, but we're not going to throw him out there for just one game and one game only and then yank him back out. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So I understand we all think that Kyle Allen, we know what Kyle Allen is at this point. He's a backup. He's 5-3. That's about what you want from your backup. You can't expect too much more out of a backup playing 8 straight games. But I think it's a little bit too reactionary to be calling for Will Grier, especially given what we already knew before the draft, what we found out after the draft, and what we've seen in this season with the quarterbacks behind the offensive line the Carolina Panthers are currently putting on the field of play. That's my thoughts on it, though. What are your thoughts on Will Grier? Should he play? Should he not play? Do you think he's good? Do you think he's better than Kyle Allen? Do you think he should be behind this offensive line? Name those 3 guys. And 3 is very, very low. Name those 3 guys in the O-line you really do trust consistently. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And you already know what to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.